good to go. This is our December edition of the Summit podcast, the Alta West Summit. So this is gonna be festive, and we're giving the gift of knowledge. And
Perfect.
we're here today. We're here today with our BDM, Chris O'Sullivan, and Adam Russell from Advanced Mortgage.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, this is our very first Alberta-based broker. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us a bit about your career. I understand you're into your career now. You've made some progress, and I'd say you're in the rhythm of it. But yeah, tell us a little bit about the journey and from Forest Lawn to where you are today.
Yeah, no, that's exactly where it started. I got into banking about 20 years ago as a teller back when it was a 10 to 3 job, and it was super exciting to go home early and not have a lot of responsibility. You come in with your, as Armando said, your paycheck, and then you put in the deposit, and that was my job. And fell in love with the credit side of the business. Back then, banking was, you either had to pick investments or credit. That was your two journeys. And I said, wow, I kind of like credit. I kind of like leadership, so I'm going to go that direction. So worked my way through the bank, worked at a couple of the big five, went through the ATBs and the credit union system, and then kind of just said, I love the world of options for clients. I hate trying to fit everything into a box. It kind of was one of those things that drove me nuts. So I my brokers, they headhunted me at the time. I was a branch manager and said, we heard you're good at what you do. Do you want to come work for nothing? Was his exact words. So I said, wow, that sounds great, working for nothing, but I get to choose my own schedule, and more importantly, I get to educate, which was kind of the big selling feature me, without the walls of the big institutions. So got into being a mortgage broker. I'm over my honeymoon period, I like to call it, so which is really a period of not being paid at all, that period, and getting into a place where I get to work with folks like yourself and understand the different options that we have. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now.
Tell them what you would think, what it looks like for the first 18 months or so. What's your journey look like?
My journey came with a lot of learning curves. Going from a salaried position of 20 years to coming into this type of environment, I'd say the biggest thing is any new agent, the advice I'd give is don't close yourself off to options. Learn everything that this business has, because there's so many. It's absolutely incredible when you come into this industry and you have 100 plus different lenders of all different styles to work with. And I find when you come in, the biggest mistake I made was I was closed-minded. I'm going to focus on lending, and I'm going to focus on realtors, and that's where I'm going to start. And to be honest, that was my detriment. It took it. Once you start there, you realize that relationships, especially in Alberta, are strong. They're 20 years old. It's a hard thing to break into. So I'd say keep your mind open and explore every single opportunity. Don't shut anything off.
So that is, I'm assuming, how you found your way into the private and alternative space, and then eventually Alta West Capital.
Exactly. Yeah. I was one of the people that asked the question of how do I help folks that the other banks won't help, and Alta West seemed to be one of the great things that I found throughout that process, right? So
yeah, well, if you think back of when brokering started in 50 some odd years ago, all it was is you get approved at the bank and the private. There was no in between. That's all it was. So brokering was strictly private lending because they didn't have access to the banks, and there was no monolines at the time. And so now you fast forward, like you said earlier, like the options that are out there, and we hear it all the time from people that came from banking and went into brokering, and the spectrum is just wide open. And to your point, knowledge is important. Learn as much as you can, because customers are coming to you for advice, and sometimes it's not even mortgage advice. It's everything, and we hear it all the time from brokers. They're looking for financial advice. estate planning, all that stuff. And you know, you don't need to be the expert, but at least you can point them in the right direction and where to get that information.
Well, and I think what I found to be the most interesting, and even today in the environment that I'm in now, is 90% of the clients that I talk to, they had said 3 other brokers had turned them away because they were complicated. And in my opinion, I still think a lot of the brokers out there, or any of the mortgage professionals, they're really looking at, I want the A deals. Maybe I'll go into a B deal, but the second we get past that, I don't want it. And I find it incredible because the biggest thing with private is it's easy. It's super easy.
The brokers that won't go to do a private deal or will even be hesitant to do a B deal, why is that? Is it just that it's unfamiliar? Is it they don't know? Or is it because, like if it's easy, if it's not necessarily more difficult, what would you say that reason is?
Yeah, I'd say unfamiliar is probably the biggest thing. And not only that, I think everybody in the industry, it's similar to real estate and realtors, is how do I find that easy, 3 minutes of work to kind of put something together and then send it off and be done with it. I think we're very much in an environment where a lot of these complicated clients, there's a lot more conversations that need to happen. There's a lot more details that come out of it. And yes, the process is easier with private, but I think a lot of people shy away from the work beforehand.
And that actually brings something I wanted to ask Chris, is what distinguishes a great broker like Adam from the other brokers that you work with? What makes a great broker?
I would say knowing their clients, so knowing the ins and outs of their situation, what they're looking to do, and then also knowing how to package it together and come up with an exit strategy. But I think knowing your client is the biggest thing that I see Adam do that maybe brokers starting out in the private world don't do. And then they don't know how to communicate an exit strategy to a private underwriter to progress the file.
100%. And I think that's the thing with any great business, is the client is at the heart of their decision making. Yeah. So for you, Adam, what does that look like? If someone were to be, this is their first day as a broker, how would you say you should approach that?
I would worry less about what the pay and the volume looks like and worry more about how do I build that relationship with that client. In all reality, I think that's, of course, that's an important part of our business, but I especially dealing with private, really dealing with any of those different levels, the relationship is key. So sit down, build that relationship, find out everything you can about them. How did they get to where they are? How, if they're self-employed, tell me about your business, right? It's really taking back that relationship piece versus, okay, great, I got your numbers, let's move on, right?
On the other side of that, what would you say makes a great lender?
Yeah.
Beyond approving every single deal. Sure.
Yeah, it's funny because if you would ask me this when I first started, it was just a lender that would approve my deals. But now, 5 years in, I would say what makes the best lenders is the communication strategy. What does it look like how is the underwriter communicating with you? How is the BDM communicating with you? It's my top lenders I deal with now are all the ones that I know I can pick up the phone and call, or I know I can trust based on those communication pieces, right? So it's actually, for me, it's gone past of the approval side. Yes, that's important, but it's gone into who do I have a relationship with and who's going to pick up my phone call and have that conversation. I guess the biggest thing is who's going to try and make it work rather than looking at the policy and saying no, which there's a ton of lenders out there that'll do that. They're very by the book versus trying to, understand what you're trying to do.
So for you, is that what makes Alta West stand out from some of the other lenders that you work with?
Oh,
would you say?
Yeah, leaps and bounds.
Leading the witness?
Yes. It's actually funny. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say names, but Chris is obviously on the call here. But a perfect example of Alta West is one of your guys' underwriters. I've done deals with him, and things have these were complicated. I had to work through them, and just from an underwriting perspective, a lot of underwriters I find are very difficult to talk with. And he's worked with me through deals that I didn't think were possible. And Chris is the same thing. It's, Alta West, you guys got people like Chris and Rupi that will communicate, will try to make it work. And that's a key component of why I deal with them.
Well, I appreciate that. And folks, we didn't pay him to say that. So I just want to make that clear. But no, I appreciate it, because you're right, because there are some deals that are very complicated, and you need to work with the underwriter to make sure that they understand it, so they can package it and make sure it's suitable for the client, it's suitable for Alta West, and basically at the end of the day, it's a partnership, and that communication is very, very important. We've done deals where we have to tag properties in Alberta and Ontario, and we're blanketing both properties. That gets complicated, and you got two sets of lawyers, but it gets the deal done. But we can't do it without the broker understanding the deal and then putting it all together and working with the broker. So that's great. I'm very happy to hear that.
So Chris, I just wanted to ask you, for new brokers, even veteran brokers, what would you say number one thing you should be aware of when you're making a submission to make it stand out, to make the deal, just to grease the gears and make things move more quickly? What would you say? Just make sure you do this thing.
Yeah, well, at Alta West, we try to get it underwritten in 3 to 5 hours. To get that done, you need to have complete, detailed notes. So I always tell brokers when they're running a file by me, explain it to me like a 2-year-old or golden retriever, and then translate that into the notes like that, because the easier it is for an underwriter to look at it, understand what the broker is looking to do for the client, and then the exit strategy, the quicker it'll get done. It's when a broker maybe is transitioning from the A space to the private, and they just put, hey, I just want the best rate. Well, there's a lot that goes into it for a good rate, or for a rate in total: location, loan to value, beacon score, type of property. So if you can give the location, loan to value, obviously the credit profile, and the type of property, and the exit strategy with that goes a long way for an underwriter to find it easy to approve and then to get the commitment out to the broker.
Armando, if you were to give the insider edge to brokers listening, what would you say to prepare for and look for in the next 12 months? And what would you say for the next 5 years?
Wow. Well, I think I don't have a crystal ball, but I think, if you look for the next 12 months in 2026, I think we're going to see, pretty much what we're seeing right now. I think in certain markets, there's still softening in the marketplace in certain markets. Alberta in general is pretty strong. We're seeing a little bit of slowdown in Calgary, but Edmonton is pretty strong still. But I think we're going to still see the norm. I think the real estate market is still adjusting, and there's going to be a little bit softening in some other markets. The condo market has its issues as well. We might see a couple more rate drops next year, maybe. I'd like to hope so. But I think what we have to do is look at, if this is the norm, what's the market look like, and look for those opportunities. And when you talk about the regulated space, we're already hearing how OSFI is going to be coming out with new regulation on investment properties. That's going to be a big thing. And I think after this, if Chris could talk a little bit about our promo that we have going on, rental, little plug there. But I think that's where, if you talk about tightening more regulation with the regulated institutions, it's going to put some pressure on investment properties, but it also creates opportunities, for us, opportunities for brokers, because there are people that want to invest in rental properties. They have multiple properties, and the banks just say, well, you got too many doors, you're done. We can help them, and that's where I see. Then 5 years down the road, I think, we're going to go through this lull for at least 24 months, 18 to 24 months.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to start seeing is home prices starting to tick up again. Why? Is because nobody's digging holes. Nobody's building new homes today. And if you're not building homes today, you'll have a supply shortage 2 years from now. And that's when home prices will start picking up. And once again, opportunities. It's people who have money, who want to buy investment properties and so forth. Yeah, there's an opportunity here. Like, prices are going to soften. You look for the right deal. Don't rush into anything. But if the economics work, and then 5 years from now, you might have a little bit of a capital appreciation. And I think that's how I see it. And Adam, I don't know if you see it any different.
No, I would agree with all of that, and I think the biggest thing is the strategy of not waiting, right? Is kind of key. The lull is great and all, but again, speaking to the options, right? There's so many out there. Whether you are an investor, whether you are a first-time home buyer, you got the assets, you got the cash. There is options, and just to sit and wait is probably the worst strategy right now, especially in Alberta, where we're not. We know boom and bust here, right? It's literally a 5-year. Every 5 years, it's happening. So.
Speaking to what Armando said, like the team at Alta West that is like developing the types of products that we put out there, like you mentioned, our rental promo, express products, the HELOC was this year as well. This team is constantly looking at what is happening and like what trends are ramping up. So if you're noticing something, check out the Alta West product page, because chances are they've already developed a product for that trend. Because these guys, it's tons of vets that are that's their whole job, is to look at what's happening and specifically design a product to fit that niche. And so that's what we have with the rental product. But yeah, chances are if you're noticing, oh, this seems to be happening, they've noticed that as well. So just check out the product page every once in a while.
Now, Adam, a little plug for yourself.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us where can people reach you, and what firm are you with?
Yeah, so with Advanced Mortgage, we're a boutique brokerage. Absolutely I love our brokerage. We're not too big, so we actually still listen to people, and we're not a volume-based brokerage. Who I am, I am that mortgage professional that will listen to every segment of society, whether you're looking for your next investment property, or you're a first-time homebuyer that just has questions. My market is Strathmore, Airdrie, Calgary. That's kind of my specialized markets. That's where my offices are. Oddly enough, I get a lot from Strathmore, but
Really?
Yeah, it's really weird. It's kind of an interesting market out there right now, but that's where I am. It's I love sitting down and talking with people, which seems to be something that's different in my space these days. So I do a lot of in-person meetings. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's awesome. And where can they reach you? You have a number?
Yeah, you bet.
What's your Twitter handle and your Instagram?
You're asking questions. I'm a simple guy. I got a phone number, 403-921-4344, and Mortgages with Adam is my website, my Instagram, my Facebook. Other than that, I'm probably not the most tech savvy person, so give me a shout. We'll go for a coffee. That's more the type of person I am. So.
Wow, that's awesome.
Well, hit him up. Mortgages with Adam.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
You're not working for Google. You know mortgages. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And Chris, you want to give a plug about our promo?
Yeah, we have a rental promo, 65% loan to value, 6.49 is the rate, and 2.49 is the fee, so it's great for investors.
And we pay one.
And we pay 1%
1%
of that.
out of the 249. So it's a fantastic program, a great promo for rental properties, and of course we have our Express Low Dock B product, which is at $5.99. So give Chris a call. Chris, wherever they can reach you.
403-928-5436. Text or call.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you can DM on Instagram too.
No thanks. No thanks.
Yeah, you guys can also text me just to talk. If you just want to talk or hang out.
There we go. Yeah, you want to? All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Adam, for joining us today. Great conversation.
It was a pleasure.
And thank you for your partnership. It means a lot. And Chris, you're always doing a great job.
Yeah,
So,
thanks for
Keep up
having
the
me.
good work.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks guys. I appreciate it. It was awesome to get to chat with you guys. So thank you.
That's great.
Pleasure was
Thank
ours.
you.